Lunar Spawn 27 here, bringing you Fairy Tale Chapter 388, Erza versus Minerva. So the chapter begins off a pretty good start as we see Wendy, Charles, and Dornbolt looking on at the multiple faces since they've discovered that there are 2,000 of them. To Charles, it seemed that all hope was lost, but to Wendy, she's not going to delve into despair anymore. She's not going to cry like a weakling anymore. She's not going to give up. You know, I gotta say, I'm really proud of Wendy because not only did she awaken Dragon Force mode, but she's also changed into a strong person. She even cuts off her hair, which a lot of people were confused over this, but keep in mind, guys, Ezel did cut off a chunk of her hair during their fight. Not to mention, this was supposed to be symbolic to Wendy's maturity. And you know what? I like this. I liked how Wendy was being portrayed in this chapter. I'm really starting to like her more and more. We cut back to Erza and Minerva continuing with their fight, and I'm not calling Minerva Neo Minerva because it's a stupid nickname. I really don't want to delve into this much, but I will say that this fight was really lackluster and underwhelming. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the fact that these two are actually exchanging blows with their fists, especially with Erza, but Minerva is supposed to be a demon now, so you'd think that she would obtain a curse ability of her own, or this would enhance her magic ability, but no, it is futile because in the end, surprise, surprise, Erza won. I knew this was going to happen in this fight, and that was why I was not looking forward to seeing this for the third time, because I knew Erza was going to win against Minerva, which is also the reason why I never cared about this fight, because there are better things going on in this arc. Minerva only used her territory magic like one time to switch places with Erza so that she can kick her in the face. We didn't get to see any more of that pretty cool territory magic that she used during the Grand Magic Games. I mean, didn't Minerva say back in the Sun Valley arc that she obtained a countermeasure for Erza's Nakagami Deus Ex Machina bullshit armor? Now, I'm not going to complain that Erza is constantly winning, because I do recall Erza losing a few times in her fights. She did lose to Cobra, and she also lost to Jalal, and I think she also lost to a character named Jose. I'm trying to remember. Really, I am. Now, throughout this chapter, we get flashbacks of Minerva's past. When she was a child, she was abused by her father Jiennma, the former guildmaster of Sabretooth. Now, from the Grand Magic Games, we all know how Jiennma is when it comes to weakness, so he doesn't tolerate it even if it is his own flesh and blood. He even berates her when she starts crying, saying that tears are the ultimate apex of weakness. And if that wasn't bad enough, Jiennma forces Minerva to take off her clothes and abandons her into the forest, telling her to never come home unless her tears have finally dried up. Okay, I never liked Jiennma. I never liked him when he was introduced as an asshole of a guildmaster, and this flashback showing him being an asshole of a father, I dislike him even more. And I'm glad Sting shoved a hole right through his gut, although it still hasn't been confirmed whether he's dead or not. By the way, what is up with this guy and stripping? I think this is probably like a punishment he does to everyone who he deems as weak, which makes this even more uncomfortable because he is doing this to his own daughter. And speaking of Minerva, what happened to her mother? Because did she die or something? Well, at least this flashback shows us why Minerva is the way she is. But this flashback also works as a double-edged sword, because even though it makes most of the readers sympathize with Minerva, the flashback feels forced. It feels like Hiromashima is forcing us to feel bad for Minerva. I mean, the flashback does work in making us feel sorry for her, even though I didn't want to in the first place. This shouldn't really excuse her for all the terrible things that she's done. It is understandable, but what she did is still terrible. Granted, there are characters in Fairy Tale that did things that are even worse than Minerva, but Minerva, what she has done, is still just as bad. Anyway, the fight comes to a conclusion when Erza punches Minerva in the face while yelling, "Wake up." She then proceeds to tell Minerva that she understood the path that she took during the Grand Magic Games, even though she couldn't accept it, but she understood because it was all for the sake of Sabretooth. She then tells her this fist that just punched you is crying. It's crying because it has to be involved in such a meaningless fight. Minerva agrees to this and says, "Please just take that fist and kill me." Okay, for a minute there, I thought she was trying to lure Erza into a trap, getting her off guard so that she can come at her with a surprise attack. No, Minerva has turned good, just like that, and she just gives up. Well, granted, it wasn't as bad as Sting, but still, what the hell? What was the point of going through all that, considering that we've seen her as a cold-hearted, sadistic bitch, especially during the Grand Magic Games? I mean, her brutal beatdown on Lucy during naval battle, kidnapping and torturing Miliana, taking Lecter hostage, and of course acting like a bitch towards everyone in her guild, which she abandons, by the way, to join a dark guild just so that she can be stronger, even going as far as joining Tartarus and becoming a demon so that she can become powerful. I mean, she had the makings of a female villain, but after taking a couple punches courtesy of Erza in the face, she realized what she was doing was wrong and decides to just give up and get her to kill her. Okay, as much as I'm grateful that Hiromashima didn't drag this on for another chapter, I felt like the conclusion could have been better. It seems that Hiromashima keeps redeeming almost all the female villains in this series. Not all of them, but most of them. Anyway, Minerva tells Erza that she couldn't live on with this body anymore because she was so weak that she had to succumb to the darkness. Erza just replies, "You are who you are, and I'm sure there are people waiting for you to come home. Don't ever lose sight of that." But they're interrupted by, thank God, Geer the Demon King, who is completely free from the after effects of the Glaxia Blade. Since he has a little bit of free time to spare, he decides that he's going to take care of the trash. Now, we know that his curse ability is Thorns, but what he did is raise his hand and knocks back Erza and Minerva. I think it's got something to do with Allegria or something, or maybe this is another kind of curse ability that Geer has. I'm not sure. But anyway, he launches a curse blast at Minerva. Minerva tells Erza to run. An explosion occurs, but yeah, you're not gonna fool me again, Hiromashima. She gets saved by Rogue and Sting, and they brought their Xyz with them. Yay. So, yeah, the chapter ends with Minerva being saved. She remembers what Erza says, and she is moved to tears, and that is where the chapter ends. So, yeah, that is Fairy Tail chapter 388. What did I think? Honestly, when I first read it, I wasn't sure what to feel about this chapter, but when I read it again for the second time, I was like, eh? I mean, there were some good parts in this chapter, like we got from the beginning with Wendy showing her maturity and her determination not to give up, and with Geer's return, trash-talking against the human race as always. The fight, on the other hand, as I said before, it was lackluster, predictable, and kinda underwhelming. There wasn't a lot of magic being used courtesy of Minerva because there was so much build-up to her being a demon, and yet when we get to see her fight, it's just one territory magic, a couple of hits, and that was it. It just makes me wonder, what was the point of Minerva turning into a demon if it didn't really do anything for her to beat Erza? Sure, Minerva did get a couple of hits, but at the end of the day, it was obvious that Erza was going to win. The flashback did work in making us understand and feel sorry for Minerva, but it feels like Hiromashima is forcing us to feel sorry for her, which also means that she is going to get her second chance / redemption moment. And I am all for redemption and second chances for characters, but only if it was done right and it's for characters that deserve it. For Minerva, I felt like she didn't deserve a second chance or a chance of redemption, especially with the way she was acting and all the things that she did ever since she appeared in the Grand Magic games. She had the makings of a female villain, but because of that flashback, it's obvious that she is going to get it. Well, maybe we'll see how this goes for Minerva in the next couple of chapters. Maybe Hiromashima might pull it off and make it really good. Who knows? But to be honest, sometimes it takes time to forgive others. You can't forgive others so easily depending on what actions that they have done. It takes time. Now, I don't know how much time has passed since Minerva abandoned her guild, but it seems like it is enough time for Rogue and Sting to forgive her and consider her a comrade and a fellow member of Sabretooth, even though she did abandon her guild for power, but we'll just have to wait and see in the next couple of chapters. As for Rogue and Sting's appearance, by the way, I will admit the entrance was pretty cool, and I'm glad that another guild is getting involved in the action, but when I see Rogue and Sting, I think back to the Eclipse Gate, Future Rogue, and the finale of the Grand Magic games. Yeah, these two arcs made me look at these characters in a different way, and not in a good way. But I do like their Dragon Slayer magic, so I'll give them another chance, see how things turn out. But here's the thing, the next chapter is called Twin Dragons vs. Dark King, so these two are going to take on Geer. Yeah, they're not going to beat him. Now, I'm only saying this is because Geer is the current main villain of this arc, at least for now until End makes his appearance or Zareth. So I don't see how Rogue and Sting are going to defeat the Demon King, but maybe this fight will be way more entertaining than the Erza versus Minerva fight, if you can call it a fight. But I do have one question. Why the hell did they bring Lecter and Frosh with them? What are these two doing here? What are they gonna do? Especially Frosh, why is he here? I mean, didn't Future Rogue say that within a year or two, Frosh dies, allowing Rogue to be corrupted by the shadow, turning him into Future Rogue? What if this is the event where Frosh's death occurs? What if this is the event that allows Rogue to become Future Rogue? Granted, we don't know how much time has passed since the Grand Magic Games, so this might not be the event that Frosh dies, but it could be the event. Who knows? So overall, I thought this chapter was okay, I guess. I mean, it wasn't the worst chapter I've read, so it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't very good. There were some good moments in this chapter, but there were some moments that got me kind of conflicted on whether I should like it or not. Well, at least the fight between Erza and Minerva didn't drag on, and we're going to move on to an even better fight. Well, not the fight I was expecting, but it's probably going to be better than the Erza versus Minerva one. So tell me guys, what do you think of this chapter of Fairy Tail? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What are your thoughts on Minerva and Erza's fight, and your thoughts on Minerva now? Also, what are your thoughts on the upcoming battle between Rogue and Sting and the Demon King? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like the video if you like it and subscribe to more videos, and be sure to check out my Facebook fan page and Google+. So yeah, that is Fairy Tail chapter 388. I'm LunarSpawn27, and I will see you guys later. Bye.